summa, un compendio di ogni stile della chitarra americana. Tra le collaborazioni più importanti possiamo citare i Supertramp. Lo abbiamo raggiunto presso la splendida sede del Music Academy di Bologna, che ci ha ospitato per questa evenienza. Durante l'intervista abbiamo parlato di stage fright, di ansia da palco, della tecnica polifonica e per gli appassionati sarà assolutamente imperdibile un aneddoto dedicato al grandissimo Joe Pass. Buona visione.
Well, you know, when I learn a song, this is really important. I learn a song by first learning the melody in every position on the guitar. Every place I can play the melody, down low, mid-range, high, I have it down. That enables me to go to step 2, which is the ability to just play the melody, and then maybe if I'm playing a song like, say, Here's That Rainy Day, da 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 ba 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 da da da. When I find that last note of the phrase, I'm on an A flat major 7th. Then I'll play a line in A flat major up to a higher register, maybe the next note of the next part of the phrase, the next phrase. So I can connect phrases in different registers. That's kind of my step 2. My step 3 is, because I've really thought this through, I make what I call a little chord solo, a little chord melody, putting the melody on top of each chord. And I do a sort of a chord melody that is balanced but not very thick. In other words, I'm not using 6-string, 6-note chords. I'm using 2 and 3 and 4-note chords at the most. Then I make the big chord melody, which might have some different harmonizations, you know, like a descending bass line or some alternate chord changes, some different resolutions. And that's step 4. You know, and that's the one I can sit down and play solo guitar with. And then step 5 is I learn to just improvise on the changes. That's a great way to learn a song. Melody everywhere, melody connecting with improvisation, little chord solo, big chord solo, and then improvising. And sometimes there's a step 6 where I learn the song in other keys. And the way I do that, you know, the study of harmony where you know that this is the one chord, like for instance, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. It starts on the 1 chord, then goes to the, let's see if I'm in E flat, say, then goes to the 6 chord, and then the 3 chord, then the 1 dominant, and then to the 4, and then to the 1, and then the 1 dominant again, then the 4, 4 minor, 3, 6 dominant, 2 dominant, 5, 1. You know, in other words, I kind of have it down theoretically that way. And that way, if you put me on stage and I've got a great chord melody written out and figured out in E flat, and the singer starts singing, be somewhere, I go, oh my gosh, she does it in B. You know, that would be the key of B. Now I got to know where it's going in B. So I try to, if I really want to know a song really well, I try to have that together too. In other words, just know that I can do it in other keys. Then my arrangement, when I go to do a solo concert, can be really cool because it can be melody alone with some improvisation, then a little chord melody followed by a bigger chord melody, and a guy just walked in. Forget about him. Bigger chord melody, followed by you know, a transposition to a different key, and that's always really cool. Yeah, more the jazz guys. I mean, I'm coming from rock and roll, you know, and then when I turned 18, I got a job playing acoustic guitar 5 nights a week in a restaurant bar in California, in Pasadena, where I grew up. And this was cool because I had to play 4 hours a night, and I'm not a very good singer, so I needed to rest my voice. So I would just make little arrangements of Beatles songs or not even standards yet. And then this guy walked into the club where I was playing. It was called the Sawmill. And he asked me, he was an older guy, and he said, would you like to come over to my house and jam sometime? And you know, as I was a total sponge, so I said, of course, yes, how about tomorrow? I went over to his house, and he pulled out some music, and the first chord was an F major 7. So I knew that. The second chord was a D minor 7 flat 5, and I'd never seen one of those before. So he showed me about 30 places to play that chord on the guitar, and that blew my mind, because I could play Stairway to Heaven, and I could even play Crossroads by Clapton, you know, and I knew all kinds of Jackson Browne, Van Morrison, Joni Mitchell, you know, singing and playing 5 nights a week on my little Martin guitar. I knew a lot of that stuff, popular stuff, but I hadn't really delved in deeply, done any kind of a deep dive into sophisticated harmony like the jazz guys. So this is what opened my mind to that, and that got me into the chord melody thing. Wes Montgomery, Joe Pass. I took a lesson from Joe Pass one time, which was pretty funny.
Wow.
And you know, I was listening to Grant Green and I mean, all kinds of Pat Martino, all kinds of jazz guys. And then at the other end of that, I got really into Chet Atkins and the finger picking. As a matter of fact, last year during the real lockdown period, because we had basically a grand pause in our, sorry about my phone, it's going crazy. We had a grand pause in our touring careers, all of us musicians that tour around the world. I just decided to stay home and learn some skills that I never knew. And one of the things, I've done a lot of festivals with people like Tommy Emmanuel and a guy named Joe Robinson, and they're just amazing with the thumb pick. And I had no chops with that. I'm a flat pick guy, that's what I'm going to be for the rest of my life. But then I see these guys pull out a flat pick and, you know, shred. So I said, all right, I'm just going to do it, an hour a day until I get it. And I did it through the you know, the lockdown period, and I got pretty good at it. It was fun. So,
Wow.
Oh man, it's a very funny story. I was playing in a jazz band at that time, 4 nights a week at a club, and the other 3 nights they had famous jazz people come, like Dizzy Gillespie or Carmen McRae, the Jazz Crusaders, and one week they had Joe Pass. So I'm playing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Joe Pass is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, I mean, I pretty much lived at this place. I could get in for free. So I'm in the front row every night. So after the first night, I said, Joe, nice to meet you. Is it possible, I know you're staying at the Ben Brown's Motor Hotel around the corner. Is it possible if I get a guitar lesson from you? And he goes, yeah, 10 o'clock, $50. Which was a lot of money for a kid. I'm 22 years old or something like that. So I went over there the next morning with my guitar case. I'm right on time, and I see Joe coming around the corner with his 2 sons, and they all have fishing poles, and they're walking to the beach with their fishing poles because it's right by the beach. And he takes one look at me and he goes, oh no, God, I'm sorry boys, I got to teach this guy. And I go, Joe, don't worry, we can do it tomorrow. I can come back at 3 this afternoon, no problem. And he goes, no, come on. So we go into his hotel room, and it's a disaster. There's like cigarettes crushed out into cereal bowl milk and pizza boxes and stuff all over the bed, and it's really, really a mess. And there's only one chair. So I have to move some stuff and sit on the edge of the bed, and he sits in a chair. And I pull out my guitar, and he goes, look, I'm not really a teacher, so let's play a song and you stop me when there's something you don't know. So he says, what do you want to play? And I said, how about What's New, which is a standard. And he goes, okay, what key? And I said, C, of course, the key it's in. And he goes, no, if I know a song in one key, I know it in every key. And he knows thousands of songs, you know. And that's the one thing I learned, because from then on it went downhill. He goes, what's new? That, you know, plays 2 chords. And I said, stop. And he goes, oh, no, you don't know that? Well, that's just, I'm just using a G sharp diminished for, you know, an A flat diminished for a G7 flat 9 chord. It's the, you know, come on. How has the world treated you? Stop. Oh, you don't know that? That's just the flat 5 substitution principle. You can use this 2-5 or this 2-5 to get to the A flat chord. And it was on and on like that, you know. But I did learn that one thing, and we just talked about it. If I knew a song in one key, I know it in all 12 keys. So, a real jazz guy, not worried about it. So, anyway, it was a funny lesson.
Yes,
It takes a lot of concentration, and the one thing you can, well, I've been a studio musician for many, many years, since about, I don't know, 1980, 81. I was doing lots and lots of recording sessions. And big sessions with big orchestras, and little sessions where it's just me, and sessions where they want me to sound exactly like this guy on this record or that record. And the way I was able to overcome and be confident was to just take a deep breath and go, okay, I'm the expert in the room. You know, I'm the expert here. You know, you might want me to do this, you might want me to do that, you might want me to do this, but really, I'm the one guy that's got 10,000 hours or more behind the guitar. And, you know, you see guys, keyboard players and stuff that are composers, they write 7-note chords and want you to play that. And you go, well, look, there's 6 strings. I can only play 6 notes at once, so I'm going to leave out the 5th, and I'm going to leave out this, you know, other note here. And because you just got to know that I'm the expert. I know what a guitar should do and what it can do. So the thing about playing solo guitar in front of people is you just have to realize that I've got my way of doing it, as I'm sure you have your way of doing it, and nobody does it better than us. Does us better than us, you know. Classical guitar would be a different story because you have an arrangement, and it's sort of like what we call jury duty. There's a lot of people going, okay, when's he going to screw up, you know? And I've seen some great guys like Christopher Parkening make a terrible mistake and then have to kind of back up and start over and keep going. But he just keeps going, so.